Okay. All right, so Claire, yesterday we took our common assessment in third grade, and so I have the results here, and it looks like we talked a little bit yesterday because, as you know, as we know, that your first class struggled a little bit, but you regrouped in the second grade.
So my first class is the second one.
Mm-hmm. Which wasn't that bad.
So comprehension, what does that mean?
That just means that the average of everything above the 50% mark. So that's the comprehension is everything. Like they average the lowest and the highest together, and then so overall they made 63.5. Yes.
Hey, that's actually not bad.
It's not
Wait,
bad.
that's higher than my other class.
So you probably had an outlier. You probably had one student who really sort of raised it up. Now this one right here is the amount of kids who are 50% or higher.
Okay.
So it's really not bad.
Okay, yeah.
And then of course
That's
the other
good.
class.
Yeah.
So yesterday it was a struggle because tell me a little bit about your class in your first class.
So yes, since there is a lot of special education kids, it's hard to get them to all take the test
Mm-hmm.
at the same time and with no behavior issues. So then it's hard for me to also focus on the rest of the kids in the class.
Right. And it's the third grade, so you're having to read a lot. And
Mhm.
they have to raise their hand and read a lot.
Which they all do, which is awesome, but there's also one of me.
Yeah. So it's not as bad as we thought. I know in the middle of it, the frustration is high because you're going everywhere.
Well, you scan it and you see a 10, so you're like, okay. But then you see also there's a lot of 70s and 80s in that class, which is good.
And also, you saw the 10s, and you also know that some of those kids can do a lot better. Is that right?
Right, and that brought me down as a teacher because I know that some kids know more than they show on their test.
Right. So, so the test was over place value.
Yes.
And so what do you think I think you just said it, some kids know more in class instruction than what they're performing on the test.
Mhm.
So if I were to ask you what the biggest thing you'd like to see, to improve on, or to just see a difference is, you'd say?
Well, yeah, especially because those kids that I know so much and have mastered the skills in my eyes, sometimes when they go take the test, I don't know if it's like testing anxiety or like seeing the question and not knowing how to apply the skills that they've learned, but I'd like to work on helping them take the test better and use what they know and know when to apply the strategies that they know.
Yeah. And so we were just talking about like Rodolfo. He's the one that made a 10.
Right.
Now, could he do better? Or is he one of your low special ed kids?
He is, but also he's one of those ones that's like super shy and he doesn't ask for help. And so maybe if he was in a small group setting,
Okay.
like he has that accommodation. So if he was in a small group setting, he might, and he knows someone's eyes are on him, maybe he wouldn't guess as much.
Okay.
You know, and he's shy to ask for read aloud help. So
Okay.
I know that.
Now, is he a special ed student?
Mhm.
Okay. And did he get pulled out?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So definitely. So next time I'll try to pull him out and we can talk. I can maybe work, knowing that information, I can work with him.
Right.
But that's a huge. And do you think he can do better? I'm sorry if I asked you that.
He definitely can, and I think there's some skills that he's better at. So he got the question, the one he got right was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the kind of questions he can get. He struggles with like the numeracy questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't have good number sense.
Yeah.
And that's hard to work with him on because
I'm just thinking that if we retested him, like if I did pull him in a small group and I read it and I kind of scaffolded the questions, do you think he could do better? Would that be something, or do you think that?
yeah, because I know, for example, like I read him this one, the kind of rounding question, because I thought maybe this would be one he could get because the answer choice is kind of, and when I read it, I was like, the number of pages is more than 300. I was like, can you point to 300 for me? And he like pointed.
Okay.
I was like, can you show me where the number of pages she read is? And
Okay.
here. And then
Okay.
like I had to walk away, and I don't know if
Sure.
you know. So maybe
Okay. For sure. Then on the practice
with
star,
a little bit of
yeah.
guidance.
And on the practice star, he will be in a small group for
Right.
sure. Okay, well then that's good to know. And then looking at your scores from 10 to, I know we talked yesterday and it was a very stressful day in that first class because literally half your class is
And why are
sped.
the 60s red? Do we know?
This probably needs to be changed to represent the It's probably not.
So less than
Yes.
70. Okay.
Yeah, I need to
see.
probably change that. So yeah. So really,
So I was pretty well.
52%. If you think about that, say this
Mhm.
is green or what is this?
Be
That would be
orange.
orange.
And then these would be yellow.
I mean, Claire, that's really not bad.
Yeah, it got better.
Not at all.
And
Which is a stressful.
I know, like, a couple of the kids after they took it, I like starred the ones they got wrong, and I was like, "Can you go try these 3 again?" And like they got them all right. So I don't know if
Okay.
it was just in the moment, the test, or
Yeah.
not
And
a good day for them. You never know.
And then look, I mean, I think they're going to get there. I mean, I have a
Mhm.
lot of,
Oh, I forgot Javian got a 90. I put him in as an 80.
yeah.
That's
yeah,
good.
I think they're all going to get there. And again, your second class is good. And we were doing place value. This is all in place
Right.
value. And y'all are moving on to fractions. And so we have 1 week, we have next week, and then next week, and then that's the practice start.
Right. So we started fractions, and I was doing comparing numbers in small group. So I think now with this data, I'm going to keep doing that. I think they don't really need as much help on these kinds of questions, but more so like the comparing
Mm-hmm.
and like which number would go in between, because I know
Mhm.
that's hard for them. And last year my kids struggled with that too, and with more practice. Also these like mystery number questions.
Oh, yeah. That's
Just
a hard
like-
one. Yeah.
It's the greater than less than type thing. So
Okay.
I can work with those, especially with the high kids. Like this has a good strategy that they,
Mhm.
and I taught it to some people, but I didn't get
Mhm.
to everybody. So working with those kids that missed that one.
And we have the high kids in tutorials with me, so
Mhm.
we can maybe target these.
Yeah, we can find another problem like it and
Yeah.
then work on that in small group.
That for sure.
And then with the low kids, I'm probably going to work with them on questions like this
Mm-hmm.
because they can get that
Mhm.
and make sure they
Mhm.
know how to get that.
Yeah.
The higher kids can move on to stuff like this. Like I know 8, 9, and 10 were really hard for them. So questions like that.
Sounds good.
And this one, I showed them. Everyone that missed it, I went and showed them. Because a lot of them put 10 times greater, which is good. Because that means
Mhm.
they understand that
Mhm.
each place is times 10. But this was jumping 2 places.
Right.
So it's times 100.
So they really had to
and we had
read
never
carefully.
practiced that.
Mhm.
So
For sure.
I'm glad they put times 10. A lot of them also put 30 times because they were looking at, they told me that they were looking at 3,000.
Okay.
So they put the 30.
Okay.
So
So it sounds like you got a good plan in place with the small groups and
Right.
targeting the harder questions for the higher kids
Mhm.
and which questions to focus on for the lower kids.
right.
And in addition to moving on with fractions, knowing that, we have the great practice start. Okay, so next week I plan on coming in
Mhm.
to helping you, maybe with a small group. Is there something, I know I pulled some other things that we talked about during the day, like questions like these. These were hard, like
Right.
right there and right there.
So yesterday in tutorials, we went over their test, and we did 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, perfect. Oh,
And they did
on the
great.
test.
We went
Or
over
on
the
this
test,
one.
and then we did this. So then next week, Monday, when we do it together, we can do 4,
Okay,
5, 6.
That's perfect. That's great.
And just keep letting them practice with that.
So, so your biggest concern would be, the kids looking at your data, it's not that bad. Although, with your kids being half special ed, it feels like it is because it's
Mhm.
third grade and you're being pulled. It's just transferring what they know in class to how they can perform
Right.
on a test.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think that just a lot of self-confidence and maybe me pulling them, coming in, and then what do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely a part of it is them being in third grade and never taken this many tests
Right.
before.
Right.
I think it wears them down. I mean, as any kid would. So maybe more
Just-
like pump ups, even if
Right.
you even came in to like say good
Yeah,
luck in the morning,
for
just
sure.
like kind of pat on the back,
Okay.
like
I can do that for sure. And then tutorials, and we can
right.
do that in tutorials even. We
Mhm.
can even like do some little confidence builders for that as well.
Yeah, Saturday camp too. Even just like
And I know we're really
building
concerned.
their confidence.
Yeah. And we're concerned when it's all mixed together. So after you do fractions.
Right.
But you know what? We still have.
They also have surprised me with that when it's all mixed together. Better than I thought they would do.
Yeah. Well, think it's better. I think it's when I talked to you yesterday, and we talk a lot
Mm-hmm.
because I'm in your classroom quite a bit, so it really was a stressful day.
Right.
But at the same time, it's not as bad. you
No,
know?
looking back at it, it's really not as bad.
So that's good. Okay, so moving forward, so I'll come in next week. I'll help with the small groups. I'll kind of one-on-one kind of coach the kiddos and pump
Mhm.
them up, and then we'll continue on with our tutorials
Right.
and wherever else I can help you. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks.